Even the wealthiest of today would have a much higher standard of living within a resource-based economy. When technology and science are unleashed into society to improve the lives of everyone without restrictions of the marketplace or money or patents, it would be a far better world. In the future, children would be taught to be problem solvers instead of the parasitic professions used today within the monetary system that don't contribute anything, to the well-being of people. These would be fields such as advertising, insurance, real estate, law, banking, politics, and salespeople, just to name a few. I hope I haven't upset too many people with that. When all the Earth's resources are shared, there will be no need for the military. This savage profession could easily be surpassed in a resource-based economy. These people are trained merely to be killing machines. How wonderful it would be if they were trained to be problem solvers and taught how to bridge the difference between nations without violence. This could be done. When all Earth's resources are managed as the common heritage of all the world's people, the artificial barriers that separate nations would no longer be necessary. Invasions of countries purely for resource theft would be a thing of the past. In the future, instead of fighting one another for scarce resources, people will be working toward problem solving and solving problems that are common to all people, such as the threat of heart disease, cystic fibrosis, tsunamis, or hurricanes, and so on. Remember that almost every new concept was ridiculed, rejected, and laughed at when it was first presented, especially by the experts of the times. All new ideas for social betterment, including women's rights, children's rights, child labor, black rights, have always been met with great resistance. During the time of the Wright brothers, distinguished scientists of the day were writing books explaining why man can't fly. The Wright brothers didn't read those books and went right ahead and built the flying machine. When science is applied with human and environmental concern, we can easily create abundance for all. We will eventually understand that most criminals that fill our jails are a result of the need to acquire money and property in an age of often contrived scarcity of the monetary system. Children will look back and wonder why we couldn't see the limitations of this offensive system. Thank you.
Can you hear me back there all right? Okay. I'm going to say a lot of things, and a lot of things are going to bother you. But during the question period, question the hell out of me. And if I fail to answer your question, say you didn't answer my question. Don't be polite. Because what I've got to talk about is the world today. Politicians say things people like to hear. Everything's going to be all right. There'll be jobs tomorrow. Everything's okay. Theologians or ministers of the church say there's a purpose to everything. Don't worry. The Lord will work things out. We have so much artificially in the world today. They tell you to be honest with your children. Be honest with everybody. Then they tell children that the storks bring the baby. Then they tell children that Santa Claus brings them things. This is all bull. And you can't build a better world based on lies. In America, you have the Mickey Mouse Club. I think it's come here too. Now, what can you do with that? You fill kids' heads with nonsense, fairy tales, chicken, a world where the chickens talk to people, and people talk to chicken. And Dickie Dare walks through the field, and he says, "Moo moo," said the cow. "Baa baa," said the sheep. Well, what can you do with that sort of crap? Fill their heads with crap like that. What do you expect people to do? Also, the worst thing about our present-day culture is language. The language that you speak was designed hundreds of years ago. Think about it. So I'm going to try to prove to you that your language is artificial. People say to other people, "Have a nice weekend." Why don't they say, "Have a nice life"? Why just a weekend? So you live in that sort of world where some guy with a white collar comes in and he says, "I pronounce you man and wife." Who the hell is he? In America, they say, "God bless America." Who are you to tell God who to bless? What a bunch of pinheads. And then you succeed in electing politicians to political office. Let me tell you what a politician is. He's the guy that says things you like to hear. He doesn't know anything. Don't take my word for that. Walk over to any politician and say, "How would you stop forest fires?" I don't know. How would you stop automobile accidents? I don't know. How would you do anything? How would you build a bridge between nations in conflict? I don't know. What the hell are they doing there? Really, think about it. They don't know anything. Everything that you have, the electric line, the washing machine, the automobile, the airplane, is technical, not political. I know of no politician in history that ever increased the agricultural yield, that worked on vaccines that saved the lives of people. What have you got in your park and schools? You got cannons in front of your schools, men on horses with rifles, all killing machines. Really, it's an expression of maximum stupidity. Then you've got scientists today, and the government calls on them and says, "We'd like an atom bomb." And they say, "Well, that'll cost a lot." Don't worry about the cost. Build it. And so we put up billions of dollars to make weapons of mass destruction. Our universities today are better equipped than ever, and the wars are getting worse. The old atom bomb that we dropped on Hiroshima, today they're 1,000 times as strong. America has 300 submarines. Each one has more destructive power than all the wars in history. Now, what are you going to win with that? Think about it. I'm telling you that politicians are ignorant. They were great 100 years ago, but today our problems are technical. Let me give you an example of that. When you're driving your car, sometimes it says, "Be careful, slippery when wet." We would put abrasive in the highway, so it's not slippery when wet. When a kid crosses the street, they put up a sign, "Be careful, school children crossing." Well, we would have a pavement that looks like two cones, and when the kid presses the button, the pavement turns up, so no car can hit a kid. Do you understand? Sometimes I meet people that say to me, "Well, I'm a nature lover." I'm sure you've heard that. You mean you like earthquakes, which killed millions of people, hurricanes, tsunamis, Black Plague, which killed half the Earth's population? That's all natural. Anybody that says they're a nature lover don't know what they're talking about. We like some aspects of nature and some we don't like. And there's another bullshit word called love. Don't get mad at me. Hear me out. I'm sure most of you don't like everything you've ever done. Because there's things you did in the past that were stupid that you'd never do again. If you live with a duplicate of yourself, how long will you be together? Not very long. Don't you see that sometimes you like yourself, sometimes you don't, sometimes you hate what you've done? And when you marry, you'll have the same thing. Sometimes you'll love your husband, and then how do I have to get into this? So it runs. Love is a fluctuating system here. It's not fixed. I love you. What the hell does that mean? You can only love certain things about people, just like yourself. You only like certain things about yourself, not everything. When a guy says, well, did you love your mother? I said, in what area? My mother was a racist and a bigot. I did not love her in that area. I brought a Japanese kid home one day. He says, I don't want that kind around. Loud enough for the kid to hear. He was a friend of mine from California. And he said, so long, Doc, I'll see you later. I used reason with my mother. Let me tell you, it didn't work. I sat down and used logic. Didn't work. I said, Jacque, if you can't turn your mother around, how are we going to change the world with all the different values and different social customs? I once asked Einstein, do you believe in God? He said, which one? There's so many different kinds of God. The Jewish God says, if a man takes your son's eye out, you take his son's eye out. The Christian God says, if a man strikes you, turn the other cheek. The Lord's Prayer says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There's no money in heaven, no business, no private ownership. And Larry King once said to me, what do you think of Christianity? It's a wonderful idea. When is it going to be put into practice? I've never met a Christian. A guy that has no locks on his door, that brings the food in his house and says, can I feed you? What can I do for you? I wish to share my home. No more gossip. And it says in the Bible, judge not, lest you be judged. That means don't judge anybody, because you don't know enough about the conditions that made him that way. It also says this in the Bible, there but for the grace of God go I. It could have happened to any one of us. That means if you were brought up in a Nazi culture as a baby, if you never saw anything else, Heil Hitler, Deutschland über alles, Germany above all. And if you brought up in Italy, Nazi Americano. So here you have all these different customs. And they brought up in Italy, you say, come on, they eat, this is good food. Is that inborn? No. That's a dialect between Italian and English. And they brought up in France, you talk with your hands. And they brought up in the Arab world, you might have 10 wives. And if you were all brought up in ancient Rome, a big thing is feeding Christians to lions. The whole Roman family used to come weekends to see Christians being fed to lions. Of course, they starved the lions for a week to put on a good show. Then they take the clothes off the Christians. And the whole family would come. And the kids would say, Daddy, can I come next week to see Christians fed the lion? He'd behave yourself. Was he insane? Or the kids would say, no. That's normal to that culture. In this culture today, you go to prize fights where men punch the brains around in other men. That's normal to this culture. This culture, somebody once asked me whether there'd be horror movies in the future. Just a movie of the present-day world culture will be a horror movie. The Bible says we shall always have the poor amongst us. I reject that. We'll always have wars and rumors of wars. We've always had wars. I reject that. I think humans can solve all the problems if they're given the facts. All nations and all politicians lie. That's their business. They say things people like to hear. In the early days, most people believed the earth was flat. Now, politicians would say, listen folks, it's a little round and a little flat, and you get along with more people. The scientists do not speak to win approval. They get up and say, the earth is round. And this is why we've accepted that. They showed you the